Oh hi, welcome to Marcelian Online. 2025 has started and we know what the tier sets will be looking like in 11.1, and some of them are winners, some of them are not, and we're gonna be ranking them today. And we're gonna start it off really quick with Paladin. Dude, I don't know what they're doing with Paladin. Every tier set, they want this helmet to be like this insane monstrosity of a helmet with like so much metal that I'm surprised Paladins can keep their head straight on their shoulders throughout all of this. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's supposed to like mask the fact that they're doing some changes that are questionable with Paladin right now. But the extreme emphasis on the ornaments on the helmet is just way too much. Plus, it just feels wrong. It's way too big. It feels like you have a shoulder plate on your face. That just doesn't make any sense. The other pieces are pretty cool. You can probably make some pretty dope sets with the Paladin tier if you just take pieces from it and make some cool transmogs, but as its own, at its own, wearing it is just atrocious. It's way too much, even though we freaking love the color palette. I do have to give Paladin, unfortunately, overall C tier. I wish I could rank it a little bit higher, but I am still waiting for Paladins to actually have a good looking tier sets, because at least it's not what we have in Season 1. Demon Hunter is more rusty, more goblin-y, and we're gonna see this theme. Overall, the theme of these tier sets are supposed to kind of match the Undermine zone with goblins and stuff, and as far as Demon Hunters are concerned, they kind of look a little bit rusty, a little bit punk, a little bit, I just had some metal around and I cooked up a tier set with the shoulders and the headpiece specifically. I dig the spikes, and the overcoat seems really nice around the legs. It's still feels a little bit robotic for Demon Hunter, which I don't know if it's necessarily clashing with the Demon Hunter class per se, but it clashes maybe with leather per se. It feels like it's not really leather, and we have some really cool leather sets here. Overall, I don't know if it's as bad as the Paladin. I don't know if it's that great. I would put it into a B tier. It's a little bit of a, okay, well, it's not the worst, it's not the best, it just looks like stuff. Priest. No! No! What were they thinking, man? Have you seen this helmet? Am I phone home catching HBO and serving dinner on my face? What is with the helmet, bro? This is so much. The helmet is obviously the most hilarious part of this tier set. But the overemphasis on the heavy armor pieces is just not it doesn't feel priesty, man. And it's a shame, because there are some really cool color palettes here that really vibe with the priest theme. And I can see some pieces of these making some really cool transmogs overall. But as I said, bro, like, if you take away the helmet, it kind of looks like a Paladin set once again. And this is not the first time that this happens. I feel like cloth sets just need to be cloth sets, dude. This is plate. This has, at the very most, it's mail. Or at the very least, it's mail armor. It just doesn't look like what a priest would wear. I see what they tried to make happen with the helmet. There's like a halo thing. There's like a vibe. It feels like a cultist. It feels like it's a drape type helmet, kind of obscuring the face of the devout follower of the light. But it's just way too much, bro. It's way too much. Oh, priests. Now, are you seeing this right now? Are you watching this? This is such a fucking contrast going from priest to rogue, but which I believe to this point is if not the one of the best sets out there. Clearly S tier. It has pirate vibes. It has clear outlaw vibes, but oh my god, every time they try to do a pirate theme set or transmogs, whether it's in trading post or an actual set, which I don't know if we've had, kind of had a little bit in Antaurus, I believe, for Rogue, where you had like a little swashbuckler marine type thing. This fucking nails the ghost pirate cursed treasure vibe so much. It actually feels like a character that would belong into something like Pirates of the Caribbean if it was a little bit more dark than what it is right now. The helmet with the skull, the little pirate cap that actually isn't too big. This looks amazing on human, by the way. I don't know how this will look on an orc or, God forbid, a tauren and everything, but on a human, oh, they've nailed it, and all of the colors are so good. Easily one of the best tier sets ever made, and definitely... Can I go on a limb and say it is the winner of this patch in terms of like the best mog? And there's only one that, well, there's like two that can give it a run for its money, but I don't think they can top it yet. And the next one would be Mage, and Mage is so close. It's so good, especially the blue/frost one. Overall, all of these sets for the Mage look really cool. It's a really unique take on Mage, and it works because whenever they do unique takes, you can end up with something like the Priest, or you can end up with something like the Mage. And obviously the blue one feels like you're just an ice frost elemental coming out of your armor and just exploding with frost power. Looks incredible. The other colors are fine, the set is still really good, but it feels like the theme of it really is embodied by the blue frost one. The jade one is also kind of fine, I guess, as well. It's not as great as the rogue. I feel like the rogue just does pretty much all color palettes, all really good with all the items so well. Mage is kind of like going up and down personally, I feel, but it's still a really good, solid winner. Moving on to the monk, dude, I mean... to go even further beyond! Much? Do you have a Senzu bean? Is my pole reaching all the way to... God damn it, dude. It's clear Super Saiyan inspired. The cosplay value of this set is off the charts, by the way, especially with the base colors where you have the orange armor and stuff. Definitely feels like it's off the charts. It felt like they went really heavy into the Dragon Ball Z theme of it with the obviously Super Saiyan hair helmet, but the fact that they put like a dragon face on it, dragon mask, to kind of, you know, giving it this Asian theme of a monk, Asian culture rather. It's not necessarily ruining it, but it feels like they didn't go all out on one, and it doesn't match. The dragon face doesn't match with the Saiyan hair, clearly. And the other colors just don't work, bro. I'm sorry, but the helmet is the worst part of the set. And it only works because you're cosplaying as Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Outside of it, it just does not work whatsoever. But the rest of the armor is peak on all other aspects. The belts with the heavy ropes, the barefoot, the actual leathers that look like leathers. I talked about this with the Demon Hunter where it just looks like plate. This actually looks like leather. Take away the helm. This is really good tier set, and put the helm on. Make sure you have the Goku colors, because otherwise it just looks funky as fuck. I will give it an A tier for style, for flair, for cosplay value, for my love for Dragon Ball Z. But it's the limit where you can take this, I feel. Hunter is not bad either. Hunter has, once again, the skulls and plates and hood of Sylvanas theme, Nighthold vibe of the set. This doesn't feel incredibly original. It does have some really cool pieces to it. Like, I really dig the shoulders. And once you go past the purple, green, gray theme of Sylvanas color palette and you go into the other ones, it actually looks pretty dope. The helmet is definitely one of the weakest part of this set. As with all of them, you kind of have to get the helmet right. It doesn't really feel hunter. It's very flashy, but I feel like it belongs into A tier with the other one. It's not as bad as the Demon Hunter, but it is fun. Like, I can see myself wearing this. Probably wouldn't mock the helmet though. Now, Death Knight, baby. Oh my god, this was S tier. This was number one until I saw the Rogue. Like, this is still S tier. I feel like they've done a really good job with the Death Knight, but I don't think it's just as good as the Rogue yet. I'll put it a little bit ahead of Mage. I feel like they've nailed it so hard with the color palette, and I'm so glad that it's not as flashy, it doesn't have that many elements to it that each change their colors. I feel like just going for 3 colors or however many these have is perfect, and the choices in colors are extremely good. They definitely embodied not only all of the specs of the Death Knight, but all of the fantasies of a Death Knight. Sure, you have the PvP ones coming in close with a more necromantic feel, more necromantic look to their effects, but overall it looks really cool. And let me say, for any 40k fans out there, this fucking is Chaos Incorporated. You have all the Chaos Gods here, bro, from Slaanesh to Papa Nurgle to everybody. Dude, it just fucking works, bro. I love the Death Knight set. Warlock is a weird one, and I think it's still a good set. It definitely looks, finally, in terms of the materials that the set embodies, it definitely feels like it would be what a Warlock wears. Kind of like leathery, clothy, kind of like rags sewn together with pieces of maybe some demonic trophies. Looks really good. To be fair, there's only like real one color palette that I really like. Everything else just seems a little bit too flashy, too saturated, too rainbowy. Which, oddly enough, it still works because it's Warlock. It should be chaotic. It should have like all of the elements of all of the magic, and then just fucking, and it works. I will put it into A tier. I feel like I like it more than the other A tier specs, A tier classes rather. Habit of doing so many spec tier lists, I guess. It's the other color palettes are just kind of like the same with Monk. I feel like there's only one that really works. The other ones are a little bit funky, but I really love the choice in materials and how it looks. Like whoever worked on the Warlock one gets it, just maybe different color palettes. Warrior was initially the one that I enjoyed the most because it was a little bit more simplistic, and once again it gave off the vibe of the Undermine theme, which is actually what Warlock also does, where you're scrappier, you're less flashy, you have fewer pristine elegant materials. It's just rough and just bolted together, which I feel definitely matches the Warrior, definitely matches the theme of the patch. It's a solid A tier. I don't think it stands a chance with the other S tiers, even though it was the one that I liked the most at the beginning. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Warrior tier sets whenever they're not as flashy as they could be. I feel like this reminds me of the Amir Drasil set that Warrior had, where it's just big metal melted together into just giving you a lot of defense and not a lot of aesthetical pleasure. And that's kind of where Warrior vibes for me. Shaman is a weird one. Shaman it has some, like some of the color choices here are really cool, and I feel like there's a PvP version that looks like Ethereals Incorporated. That's so cool. It doesn't really match the theme of the season, of course, like with some other ones here as well. And although it's a good set in terms of aesthetics, I don't know if it says Shaman to me very much, but to be fair, the one that we have now doesn't say Shaman at all. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it into B tier, maybe a little bit ahead of Demon Hunter. I feel like it's not a set I would mind to wear, but it wouldn't tell me that I'm a Shaman just by looking at this set. It's just by process of elimination. Oh, I guess this is Shaman because we've seen everything else. Evoker is a very big hit and miss all the time. I'm not even gonna mention the fact that you're probably not gonna see this set a lot of the time because you're just gonna be in your dragon form. And you could say the same thing about Druid, which is next on the line, but at least with Druid you have 2 specs where you can be in your caster form. With Evoker there's nothing you can be in your caster form, not that you should be, but the fact that it doesn't translate into your dragon form or Drakthir form, I refuse to call it dragon, doesn't speak a lot for it. And even if it did, the set is just, I feel like they just don't have, either they don't have a visual identity for what a Drakthir or an Evoker is supposed to be, or they're just trying to figure out what a dragon armor would look like, and they're just like, oh, I guess this is the dragon armor of this season. It doesn't tell me that it's an Evoker. I will put it around Paladin level. If you do take the little Caligos's nut on the forehead that it has, I don't know what the purpose of that is. The color palette is actually really cool, and I think that the mythic one is really dope. There are some nice little pieces of armor here. This is definitely not the worst one that they've released. I just don't feel like the visual aspect of Evoker is embodied in the tier sets that they have received almost period up until this point. Druid is Really cool though. Similar to Warlock, it feels very unelegant, it feels very raw, it feels very primal with the choices in ornaments, especially for the shoulders. The helmet feels very druidy. I think there's some branches here and there as well. Once again, I don't know if I would say it doesn't match the theme of the patch, because the theme of the patch is rough. It's I want to say, listen, whenever I look at goblin slums, I'm thinking of homelessness, okay? Obviously, that's not the same thing. But it definitely gives me the vibe of living on the streets, living in rusty neighborhoods, in a punk style vibe. So not a lot of elegance, not a lot of expensive materials. You don't see platings on it. You don't see embroideries on it. It's just rough. It's good. I will put it... maybe I'll put it in front. I think it's better than Warrior, to be fair. It is a good set. Of course, sadly, as a bear or as a cat, you won't be able to see it that much. And even as a balanced druid, you might see the form of it, but with the glyph of the stars, you won't see the actual really good choices in color palette when it comes to designing this set. And overall, this is how it looks with all of the aesthetics. Definitely some winners, definitely some big fat losers, dude. Which is great to see that some of the winners are classes that don't usually get good aesthetics in terms of their tier sets. The usuals, DKs kind of are always nailed, but I don't know what's going on with the priest. But if you're maining a priest, good luck with that. And speaking of DK, you can watch this video out where if you haven't decided which is better, Frost or Unholy DK, because you just want a DPS with that glorious power of the undead, Marcelian and I have a discussion about which one is better right here.